We got any way to do this? We got any way to hear this? Headphones? Headphones? Yeah. So this ain't working this way.
I work in an innovation lab at Duke Energy. I do that remotely, which is why I can be here, but they're based in Charlotte. Spend a lot of time doing some of the same stuff. I work with developers every day on software implementations and all of the cross-functional teams that y'all probably will, if you have not talked about them yet, working in a group of people who do different things, but each of y'all kind of know how to do each other's thing. So I do that. I still do some executive coaching with entrepreneurs. Most of that is spent with people who like to do many things. So that's the only type of people I work with, is helping people realize they're not all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then my game is the recent venture that I started. So the game is called Heard It All Before. And it's a music trivia game. And it's a hybrid of a card game, and it has a back end app to it. Yeah. What? No. No. We can't start up. Okay. We got to start over in a cool way though.
Okay.
What's the coolest? Okay. Yeah, okay. Lyric, you go ahead and go first.
Alrighty. So I'm Lyric Reagan, Journey's program coordinator. Today I'm going to be interviewing Miss Kristen Daniels. A little bit about me. I am a media and information major from Michigan State. I graduated from Cass Tech. I was actually a part of the first Journey program, the pilot program, as I like to call it. So Journey pretty much changed me, changed like my interests and my career path, just as a whole, helped me figure out who I am and what I was passionate about. So I started off in college studying psychology. I really didn't know what I like to do. I know I like people and I like to learn, but I didn't really know what to do. But once I got into Journey, I figured that you can take technology to whatever your interest is. You can, you can link it like technology, everything goes hand in hand. So yeah, I just started getting into user experience, digital communications, things of that nature. And yep, here I am today, here to hopefully inspire all of the students that we interact with or that we come across, be a mentor, work with Camilla and Richard, and yep, to continue to build Detroit in a positive way. So if you can tell us a little bit about who you are and what you
Yes.
do.
Sure.
I love
So as I mentioned before, I'm Kristen Daniel. Nice to meet everybody that's online. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a strategist and inventor and executive coach. And like I said, an overall curious person who loves to solve problems.
What about can you tell us about your experience overseas, teaching overseas?
Yeah, so teaching overseas is kind of one dot in the nonlinear career path that I have. I started off as a poli-sci major and switched to business at Florida A&M University. Then I went and worked in the packaging industry and lived in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Richmond, Virginia. And then during that time is when I wanted to kind of say, hey, I never got a chance to study abroad in college, couldn't afford to do that. Let me see what it's like to live in a different country. So I went and lived in Chile and taught English. And then I left Chile and moved to South Korea and taught English. Left South Korea, came back, went to Georgia Tech for my MBA. And I've been back in Atlanta for 11 years now, which I can't believe.
So, like you said, your career is like non-linear. So would you be able to like just expand on like some of the things that you are actually the fields that you're in or what you work on, who you work with?
So most people have a T in their career, right? Which is meaning they can do many different things and then they have one thing that they deeply know. The top of my T is business model design, product discovery, kind of product thinking and strategic planning. And the deep part of my T is business model design.
Okay, so what is your most, if you could tell us like about your most recent project that you've worked on or your favorite?
Yeah, so my most recent personal venture is called Heard It All Before. It grew out of a passion project. I was playing around during quarantine and came up with an idea for a card game and started prototyping it in Canva. Do y'all use Canva?
Mm-hmm.
So literally just prototyping it in Canva and then playing around with sending it to card makers so I could see samples of the card. And then we released the game a year later. We're in Walmart.com. We have our own website, and it is a physical card game that also has a web application on the back end of it so that when people are playing the game, they are guessing original and samples to music. And our app makes it easy for them to access their streaming services so that they don't break the law when they play our game. And also so that we understand what they like and where we're sending kind of the data piece around the music that they like and the music they discover.
So how do you manage all of that, like being a multifaceted person and having to, take on all of these different roles? So how do you find the time to manage all of those things and still be successful and still like live a happy life?
Yeah. So I think all of us are all like trying to obtain success, whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But I consider success for me to be in a place where nothing that I'm working on I dislike. And I like everything that I'm working on right now. So I would call that my definition of success. Being interested in multiple things, I look at how do you can kind of look at things as a piece of pie and how you want to kind of focus on one piece of the pie, but still be working on other pieces of the pie at the same time. So at this moment, my largest piece of pie is the consulting work I do at Duke Energy, where I work in an innovation lab. And then the second biggest piece of my pie is the game, which is why I'm in Detroit. I came here to host a game night.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
That sounds interesting. So somebody mentioned that you started an organization called Mentorship.
Mhm.
Would you be able to tell us about that and like the reason why you started it or something interesting? Just, you know.
Yeah,
us the story.
so Pentorship is an organization that, and still is, focuses on teaching entrepreneurship and innovation in the prison system. When I was living in South Korea, one of my friends got locked up. And when I came back to go to grad school, the idea to try to share the information I was learning at Georgia Tech with my friend who was in prison kind of turned into a whole program in developing content and courses, and that's actually how I met Richard, because Richard was one of our first volunteers for Pentorship.
Oh, wow. So is that pretty much how you create a team of collaborators? Like you just reach out to the networks that you've already known? Or do you-
Yeah. So when I first started Pentorship, my friend who was in prison would tell his dorm mates, and then his dorm mates would send me letters in the mail saying what they were interested in. And then I would go on LinkedIn to see who was in my LinkedIn network that could write back to that person so that they can get like mentoring through the mail.
Okay, so what is one thing that you would want to leave the students with, like regarding, because you've had a lot of college experience.
Mhm.
So regarding like college or education, because some students, they have you're leaning toward college, some are not. So, you know, what are the pros and cons, and what advice would you have for like a graduating high school student or even like a
Yeah.
sophomore, you know, things like
You okay? Okay. I am a big proponent of understanding the times that you live in. So I happen to be one of those people that argue with some of my friends who are parents, and I have godchildren who are 18, they're twins. We live in a time where the most important thing that you can do is learn how to learn. How you decide to do that is on you. A pro for going to a university is that the first whole 2 years of your university programming, that's all all your classes is just learning how to look for information, right? If you decide to go the vocational way, you're learning by doing. So you're still learning how to learn, but you're teaching yourself how to do things so that you know how to do more things. So a plumbing or electrical program or a carpentry program, those first 2 years is really not about like what projects you're working on, it's about how to think. So if, you know, with university, I think if you go to college, don't go to college because you want to make your grandma happy or your mama or your auntie. You really need to be going because it's something that is going to help you learn how to learn. And then also your network comes from your schooling too. So if you get somewhere and you don't like it and you're going to stay in the dorm all day, you need to find another place, because at the end of the day, the people you graduate with and those relationships you have will shape how you decide to use your skills and how you can expose your skills to the world, whether that's a 4-year program, a 2-year program, vocational program, an arts program.
Right, I definitely agree. Definitely. So I guess I want to ask you, so what advice would you have for the students that are thinking about being entrepreneurs or going into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people that believe entrepreneurial mindset is something that has to exist even just to survive, even in a larger company, right? Those of you who want to start your own thing, I think the biggest thing to pick up is being curious and creative. and being a good listener. I would advise it. So if you want to be an entrepreneur because you don't like working for other people, you probably won't be an entrepreneur. Most people think like, oh, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur and I don't want to work because I'm not gonna work for anybody else and I'm not gonna have a boss. Let me tell you how your customers are much more bossier than a boss at corporate.
Yeah.
And then I would say the other thing about entrepreneurship is it's something that you could take with you and use as a skill everywhere you go and sell yourself everywhere you go.
So would you like to just give us a little bit more insight on the Heard It All Before game? Like,
Sure.
just like, where did the idea come from? And like, most of all, I want to know, like, what are your expectations, like, or dreams for like the future of the game? Like, how far do you want it to go? And like, what's the impact that you want it to have?
Yeah.
Not just, the city of Detroit or the city of Atlanta.
Yeah, but bigger.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, when we were all bored in quarantine, I'm sure some of y'all came up with ideas or toyed around with websites. I have been teaching myself how to DJ on this very small piece of equipment, not anything fancy, not Serato, just this small little amateur DJ set. But my turntables were broken. So the idea for Heard It All Before came because I just actually wanted to use my turntables and I was frustrated. I wouldn't call myself. I can DJ. I cannot scratch. I can mix, but I cannot. I'm not like Kid Capri or something. But I love music.
Yeah.
So literally, I was sitting on the couch thinking about how one thing I do when I am with my friends, because your friends and family are like, can you DJ the barbecue? They ain't getting invited to like a big party or anything like that. I enjoy playing originals and samples. So I want to stop because I want to acknowledge, like, I need to find out in the room if people understand what I'm saying when I say samples. Raise your hand if you know what a music sample is. Okay, so y'all got it. Okay, because that's just, it's a word that gets used interchangeably. So when I'm in certain spaces, I try to say original and sample, meaning original is like the original song, sample is the derivative song. But everywhere else you go, people use the word sample for two different things. They use them interchangeably. So I would be playing with friends and family the original song or the sample song or vice versa. And people like, oh my God, I didn't know that this was a sample. So came up with the idea for the game. Again, started literally drawing like card figures inside of Canva. And I first named that sample, like named that tune, but that didn't work with the trademark office. So that's how we got to Heard It All Before. And when I started trying to figure out how I could play a snippet of a song, I'm like, oh, well, we could put QR codes on the cards. So then I started playing around with like how you print them out in a regular printer so that you could scan a card, listen to a song, and name the sample. So I just was playing around with that and said that was going to be like a passion project. And one day, a friend of mine sent me, this is gonna sound weird, but this is how this happened. One of my friends sent me a job description that she was looking at for a product manager role, technology role at YouTube Music. I saw the person's name who posted the job and actually emailed him and be like, hey, I got this game and we point to YouTube. Can I talk to you? And he emailed me back in like 3 minutes.
Wow.
And so getting an email right back from a group product manager at a very large technology company, that then made me be like, okay, well, wait a minute, maybe I have something. So he was really excited about it, but then that encouraged me to think about what do I want to do with the game? So once I got to that place of what do I want to do with this game and cards, and maybe it really has something that Google is calling you, that was when I decided to start thinking about how I could have all of the streaming apps, not just theirs. A associated with the game.
So how did you create the team to make it all happen? Because I know you can do everything, but that sounds
No, you
like
can't.
a lot that you can't do on your own.
No,
so how did
yeah.
you create a team and like create that trust and the confidence to share your idea with people
Yeah.
around you?
So I think one, starting Pentorship gave me the best network in the world, right? Because you're in prison, but you're also like meeting all of these different volunteers, and you're in these social impact contests, and your network just expands. So, and I also used to work at MailChimp, which before everybody knew what MailChimp was. So just know a lot of techies, right? So when I first started the game, the way that I feel like the team came about was very natural. You just start showing people, hey, people like, oh, what are you working on? I'm working on this. Oh, this is dope. And people kind of just start to say, can I do blah, 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 or can I do, or do you need X, Y, Z? So the card design, the initial card design and the packaging and the concept, I did do it by myself. But then the next round of people was really people who I knew that were kind of in the music industry that were interested in how we could make sure that the game was legal, right? Like, how do you make sure that you're sending people to a place where they have the right to play a song? Like, it's like literally one of the biggest hurdles of the product itself. So spending time thinking through that, learning about music licensing. The graphic designer who helped design the actual box itself, he and I worked together on some technology projects. So I already knew him. And for the technology piece, I worked with a group out of Uruguay. I met someone at a product conference for women, and we just clicked so much. And she's like, what are you working on? My team could do this. And that's literally, I started working with their dev shop. So literally just using your network, but also being open so that if people are interested in what you're interested in, be open with them and let them have a chance to, if they want to work on it, let them try. And then if they prove to you that they are wasting your time, then you can let them go.
So the biggest takeaway that I keep hearing from you is basically the importance of building a network and building connections. So I know some people don't have, it's not more so the confidence, but I think they just don't even really know the importance of meeting different people and knowing how to reach out and keeping those connections. So my last question overall would be, what is your advice on that? How to build a network, basically, how to become that type of person who is not afraid to reach out and who knows how to keep in contact with people, even if they're not of interest, the same interest as you.
Mm-hmm. So I don't like doing that. I'm not an extrovert. I am in my comfort zone because I'm around technologists. If you notice, people who like technology and science, we like to go very deep. So we'll go to a conference and stick around the same person that we met and just keep talking to them. So I'm bringing that up to say, you don't have to pretend to want to talk to everybody in a room just because you're somewhere and pretend to be an extrovert. What you do need to do is find your tribe by first finding who you are and learning what you like and being authentic to yourself. And then you start meeting your same tribe literally all over the world. So you can expand your network by knowing yourself, knowing who you're not pretending to be anybody else you aren't, but then being confident in how you connect with the people who are like you. And if you do that well, you will still have the same network as big as the people who are like walking around the room, talking to everybody, grabbing business cards.
Right. I love it. Does anybody in here, even the instructors, anybody want to ask something or something that's on their mind?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I didn't want to do executive coaching. I got asked for 2 years to be people's executive coach from doing consulting work. So I have been consulting with entrepreneurs on like their business model and then also what does it look like to start versus what it looks like to expand. Well, and not the policy piece, more so who is the customer? Why are they coming to you? What is their customer journey? What does the market look like? And what business models do you want to test in that market? And as I have been doing that work since 2014. Actually, one of the brands that I first worked with was Honey Pot, which then made it into Target. That's literally one of my first clients. Over time, doing consulting projects, you start having these conversations with entrepreneurs and you start to realize that I can consult and we can work together, but the decisions that you make, that you decide to go forward with in your business have a lot more to do with your personal psychology and background than they do with the science of business. Like a business class can't outdo your desire to hold on to the past, or maybe you're starting a business to prove something to your parents or to your spouse. Like those are not good reasons, and those motivations ended up always appearing as patterns in the consulting work. And so as I would kind of flat out say, listen, we can do this work together. You can keep paying me for XYZ, but I can't make you believe in yourself, or I can't make you, these very personal things. And then folks started asking to talk about those types of things on the side. And that's how I got into executive coaching. But because of Instagram, I don't like the word coach because everybody's a coach. So when people be like, oh, you should, no, I don't want to be a coach. Because to me, in my head, I was thinking more like social media times, coach just is a consultant that don't know what they do. Right. But that's how I got into coaching. And then in terms of the value that I bring is I only focus on people who do multiple things. So some of my coaching is with entrepreneurs, but it has also been with individual professionals who live in multiple spaces. So an example would be a young woman that I worked with. She was teaching at a university in Atlanta. We doubled her salary just by unpacking how much confidence she lost from growing up and having people tell her she was all over the place. So yeah, it's that stuff. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And some of the stuff we think we want to do, we don't even want to do it until we unpack and we're like, oh, wait, I'm just doing this to prove to my dad that I like this job. Like, you really start to learn that. Exactly. It's fascinating. Somebody else had a question. Yes, sir. Sure.
So, like, I have a question. Like, so growing up, like, back to what you were saying, like, the adventure type. So, were you born, like, in Atlanta? Like, or, like, okay, we were born in Atlanta. Did you have, like, the friend group or the city, like, you grew up in? Was it, not poor, but, like, what made you want to, like, I want to spend my life in different surroundings?
Oh, so like both sides of my family have entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, where you push, like, you gotta do this, or did you want to do it? Like,
No, my parents. So what I think, I'll tell you to be perfectly honest, I think my parents they got married young, and my parents are not like a lot of parents. So it's almost like my parents raised me and my sister. They would ask us what we wanted to do, right? Like they weren't gonna be like, you gotta go to ballet, or you gotta go to soccer, or you gotta be in the church choir. Like we wanted to be in the choir, or we wanted to play outside. My dad really didn't like that I liked Hot Wheels and Ninja Turtles. I liked boy toys when I was a kid. And so basically what I'm saying is I grew up with parents who didn't make me have to be the way that they wanted to see about themselves. And so we could start things. If we didn't like them, we could quit them. If we did like them and we were just mad at them, we weren't allowed to quit, right? Yeah, but it was just encouragement. But then also you see that in your family. So all my mom's brothers, they're sole proprietors. My grandfather on one side was a brick mason. Like you just see people, you know, if you don't pay the bill this month, you gotta go out and go get it the next month. Yeah. But and you tell me if I'm wrong, but the assumption I'm making about the question you're asking me is like, do you feel like my environment is the reason why I am where I am? I don't think it's the geographical environment. I think it's about, and it doesn't have to be your parents, it's about being around, it could be mentors or your godparents or your teachers. Just leaning into, if they see something in you, don't try to shy away from it and allow them to pour into you and encourage you. That to me is more responsible for the way that I am than any kind of geographic location. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, it just me being me, and I didn't always know. You know, you don't, you evolve over time, right? I'm almost 40. I'm still, I feel like a baby, right? So again, I think it's just also still who the adults around you. Don't shy away from the ones who see something in you, even when you don't see it in yourself. I love that question.
I just want to add something to that. There's a couple of those mentors not working right now, so take advantage of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If somebody's here, listen, y'all, let me tell y'all something. Have y'all ever gone online to see how much all these people can make at Facebook and Google? They want to be here, okay? They want to be here. They want to share their skills with you. So please take advantage of your time. Please take advantage of your time here around folks who see a little something in you. What inspired me to help people? That's just kind of how I grew. Like when I remember the first time that I helped somebody, and it was like I was 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old, and my mom got mad at me because we were going into Kroger and the guy with the like Salvation Army bell was ringing. I put my whole allowance in there. And he let me do it, you know, knowing that I was a younger kid. And I was like, oh, this is, you know, I was just excited to give, right? So I don't know. I don't know if anything inspired me. That's just some people's personality is like that. Like I like helping, like I feel like I've always liked helping people.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming to speak. I'm really excited. When we started Hustle Pro, it was really surrounded by that idea of having an entrepreneurial mindset in these different spaces. You know, it's an SBI thing.
Yes, SBI.
So
y'all don't even know. Okay.
They really don't. They really don't. And kind of, I guess, just branching off from some of the questions that are coming so far, one of the things that we really want you to feel comfortable diving into are some of the hurdles that you kind of experienced along the way that maybe would have set somebody back if they hadn't given it a second thought or hadn't learned how to be as resilient yet. Are there any experiences or hurdles that you came across? I know you spoke about one with starting your game and just trying to get around the legal matters, and you have friends that helped you with that. But is there anything else?
Well, always imposter syndrome. That's like the number one thing. Like, one, when you aren't sure of yourself, you could have ideas sitting somewhere that are like billion-dollar ideas that you're like, well, I don't know how to do that, so I ain't gonna work on it. That's one. And then also with imposter syndrome, you might not open up your mouth to ask for certain things because you just have the maybe bad experiences with whatever it is. So that has been a hurdle. Is what if they say no? Like asking people for stuff and they say no, or what if somebody, you know, uh, people pleasing, right? So one thing you'll learn in entrepreneurship: hire slow, fire fast. You can really, really have somebody who does not have good intentions around you for a really long time. And if you have my personality, one of my personality hurdles that I had to get over is making sure that everybody feels okay in the room and everybody's comfortable. And I had an excuse for why somebody would do something that was not of good character. Okay, they have their own problems and you can have empathy for them. But I had to learn that doesn't mean they need to be in your business because they are stopping you from building generational wealth. Then the final thing that I would say as a hurdle is making sure that you're not being validated by outside world. And what I mean by that is I wish sooner that I would have embraced being interested in multiple things and that I don't fit what Silicon Valley calls like a founder, which is someone who's they're working on that one thing, they're going out and raising money, they, you know, the backpack and they drink water and sit around and do calls all day. That's not me. I just like different stuff. Like I love that I get to be here and work at Duke and work with my clients and work on this. Like it doesn't change me from being a founder, but those like self kind of awareness things have been the biggest things that have slowed me down. I could be so much further if my self-awareness level was different. Even coming out of FAMU, you know, just not knowing how to be confident in that you don't have the same path as everybody else. That matters in every single, like it shows up in little tiny decisions that can make a big impact and get you further along. Okay.
So Jasmine Mapes, which is one of our instructors, she's like her QR codes and the mystery cards change. So it changes as you play. Your deck never goes stale. That's so dope. I love it.
Thank you.
Another question that she had was, what was your biggest takeaway from starting mentorship? You went into solving an issue where there were other solutions she was able to provide that she didn't think of, but it just happened organically, if that makes sense. Does it?
I think so. So like maybe what I thought were the solutions available weren't solutions to me. I just wanted to create an environment where a person who was incarcerated didn't feel like a lab rat as they got programming or like a loss of dignity, right? That's even why the path for mentorship is different than most nonprofits because we were turning down foundations and not having certain relationships because if we had to present somebody in prison as like below or beneath, I didn't need that check. Like I'm okay, I'll go get a job before I let somebody who has been incarcerated be like presented in a certain way just to get that funding. Yeah.
Because I think it's that some people choose not to
Scale.
no, not scale, like using somebody as a story or as a
Yeah, we call
whatever it's called.
poverty porn. I guess.
Say it again?
They call it poverty porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
interesting. Important. This next question I had, and then this is from D'Amico, which is one of our instructors as well from the other program. So how many business ventures did you fail at, and when did you know to walk away from it?
I don't see. I still don't know if I considered like any of the ones that I have like super successful yet. But if I would call one a failure, I would call New Skill a failure because it just was confusing to do the spinoff of mentorship. So you can tell he can hear me, right?
Yeah, they can hear you.
Oh, yeah. So, in the spirit of talking about how do you sustain programming without being reliant on foundation money, I started almost like a spinoff from Pentorship. It was just too early to market. Like it was too early to market. It was around like teaching people 21st century skills, but going into businesses and doing it, not just prison. So we were wanting to work with employees. Now after the pandemic, New Skill would have kicked off, but it was just way too early to market to get the traction that it needed. So I would consider that a failure. And then I don't know that I would consider that one. I don't really have other ones long enough around to be able to.
How do you know they will?
I think the market tells you when to move on. But I also think the concept of moving on to the next business is also based on whether you started off in experimentation mode. This is why I'm like pro business model design. If you come up with an idea and you say, that's it, that's what I'm doing, I'm not gonna test to see if anybody wants it, or I'm not gonna test playing around with the model, and you go to market and nobody wants it, yeah, you might need to move on. But if you're designing experiments to say, hey, we're gonna try this landing page for the next 3 weeks, and if we don't get a certain number of clicks on this buy button, we're gonna try something else. That is more business model experimentation. And you don't need to move on to that until you've done enough experiments to realize that you don't have, market demand or traction there, that it's just not there.
So, okay, so I got more questions. I got a question. I got a follow-up.
Okay.
Do y'all have questions? Okay, so can you talk about like the business canvas model was the first time I've seen it as a mentor for mentors. Can you share what that is? And then just a couple other tools if anybody in here wants to start a business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, sure.
very quick.
So, I think I told y'all that I met Richard while he was volunteering for Pentorship. In Pentorship, one of the things that we were teaching and still do is the business model canvas. It is a 9-step visual map of thinking about who your customer is or who they might be, what value you're creating for them, how you're going to deliver that value to them, and how you're going to make money from doing that. And the cool thing about it is the reason why we taught the canvas, can y'all see that? But you see that it's a picture, right? So back in the day, people used to write like a long business plan. There's many pages. Has anybody ever written a business plan? But y'all heard of one? Okay. So instead of writing a very long business plan when you have not yet figured out if people want what you have an idea for, this canvas is meant to be printed out, and you don't write on it permanently. You use sticky notes to keep playing around with experiments. So for journey, customer segments, the customer segments might be, foundations for employers who want diverse talent, right? The value proposition is that you're training people to have certain skills that are demanding in the market, and it's also just enriching their life, right? key partners, right? So an example of a partnership would be when Journey worked with Ford. They had like the thing, I forget the name of the thing that y'all did with Ford, but Ford Motor Company partnered with them to do this work. Key activities, classes, activities like these, and then the actual work that y'all do. Revenue stream, you know, you might make an app and sell it and use that to sustain the business. So I'm just giving examples of how you could basically take any idea and begin to map this as a starting point, and it allows you to keep playing with multiple ideas instead of getting stuck and never testing whether you have an idea that somebody wants or might be interested in. Does that make sense? This could be taught over a whole 6 months. So I'm giving y'all the very quick and dirty of that. But I've ran into my former students from prison. I ran into one of them in CBS, and he's like, Miss Daniel, I still got my business model canvas from the prison. Like they be taking it home from prison. And I think the reason why people like this is because it's visual and you just can write some notes. You don't have to write a whole paragraph, and you can keep playing with as many ideas as you want. So this is free on the internet. Print it out, test it out. A ton of links on YouTube that I can send to y'all if you're interested in it. And then so this tool, and then I think I would say that the other best tool for entrepreneurs is really customer journey map. And the reason why is because, okay, do y'all know what a customer journey map is? Have y'all learned UX design yet? Anybody learning UX? Okay, so anyway, it's very, very simple. I'm gonna oversimplify. Everybody's on a journey when they go somewhere. I need a volunteer so that we can make this more. Anybody want to help me? My brother right here who asked the question. You, come here, come here. We're gonna walk through a journey. I probably will do it. Maybe we just have to freestyle it. Okay. Give me, what's an app that you use often? Instagram. All right. Do you remember when you were first thinking about downloading Instagram? Okay. So he's on a journey, and the first stage of the journey he's in is that you're just thinking about downloading the app. What else were you thinking about when you were considering downloading Instagram? Yeah. So it's like, is this something that I want to download? I wonder if I can get followers. Are people going to pay attention to what I'm posting? And one that I was hoping you would say was, are my friends on here? Yeah, because that's network effects, and network effects is its own class. But anyway, so what is this? Is this worth my time? So that is one part of his journey. That's the first part of his journey where he's considering, right? He's, in a stage. Then you download the tool, and then what happens? When you first downloaded Instagram, what you do? What kind of creator are you? Oh, you're an artist? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, okay. So you're in another stage, which in the tech world they call acquisition. So he moved from consideration or getting awareness to acquisition. Acquisition meaning they acquired him as a user, right? When you start talking about daily active users, monthly active users, they got him to actually sign up, download it on his phone. You probably hope that they say if he doesn't delete it within a certain amount of days, but he has it on his phone. And not only did he download it on his phone, he actually put his information. What do you think would be the next stage that you enter after you've been acquired by Instagram? What's the next stage that you're going to do as a user? Yeah, so you're introducing yourself to the world. How would you introduce yourself to the world on Instagram? What's the first thing you got to do in order for people to see your post? Post, but then can people see it? Share. Okay, but how? Like who? You adding friends, right? So he's in the next stage of his journey, which is I gotta connect with other people online so that I can see their content and so that they can see my content, right? You're having a party or you came up with something new and you want to share it, but you want a lot of people to share it. Hopefully you're getting my hint. What would you do on Instagram? Okay, but what could you do to get people to know a lot about something that you're working on? Post it, but then do what? Promote it how? Okay, so that's kind of, but what am I looking for, y'all? Like, ads. That's another stage. That's another stage in the journey. It's not different in the sense that what I'm trying to get y'all to see. You guys have the most power in all of history to be entrepreneurs because you get to see what it's like to consume. So if you're coming up with an idea, thinking through a customer journey, you can move that backwards to see how you need to do your idea to get people to understand what they are thinking, feeling, and doing in each of those stages. So a customer journey map oversimplified from a UX perspective is what stage a user is in, what their motivations are, and what are they thinking, feeling, and doing in each of those stages. Even if you only had 3 stages that you want to map out for an idea, you would learn so much about how you want to test your idea just through thinking backwards, right? Because now you feel like you can go make an Instagram, right? Yes, absolutely. Always look to fail. Yeah, if you can look for that and you can prove yourself wrong, you actually get stronger information, right? But so many people are afraid to fail, so they don't try. They call that playing not to lose versus playing to win. So the folks that are really doing something with their life, they're playing to win. And a lot of people think they're trying to play to win, but they're playing not to lose. I love that you brought up the millionaire mindset. What's your name again? That's my last name. Daniel. Okay, y'all give it up for him. Good volunteer. So anyway, business model canvas, customer journey map. I would stick with those 2. There's plenty of other frameworks y'all can learn, but I think thinking about the market in the model and then also thinking about who the customer is and why they are buying from you or what value you want to create for them. If you got the 2 of those, you got your starting point.
So I got another question. I don't know, but I want to say that you are getting some virtual class. Here, people participating in the chat. Who's a student for like 2 or 3 programs. I've used knowledge has been instructed a couple of times, computer science. You said it looks like you place a lot of effort in soft skills when you have success. How do you recommend someone working on their self-awareness, like you mentioned before, or other soft skills that help you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, a lot of reading. And there's more access to tools that help us have awareness than we think, right? If you think about it, like yoga class at community center, or therapy on online therapy, use a coupon code and get free therapy for a couple of sessions. There's all these ways that you can make investment in yourself, in your self-awareness. And then there's courses online and interactions that you can have with people to sharpen how you communicate, how you collaborate, and how you critically think.
Any other questions? That's the last question. I'm gonna let them say they have any questions. But, so I know that you travel a lot of different places. You're from Atlanta, you stay in Atlanta, obviously. This is a little bit, but I feel like it's probably been a constant thing for you to kind of make somebody. Can you kind of speak about that? And then also, I feel like when I left Atlanta, you was starting on like the tech.
Yeah.
Startup scene, you started
Yeah.
to love, like I left that a long time. But can kinda talk
You
about
left like
that,
right
what that,
before the tech.
What you saw, witnessed, participated.
So Atlanta, I don't know that I've been intentional about making it my home base, and probably until last week when my sister got an offer on her house, and I'm like, my sister's about to live by me, I got to stay here. But I love Atlanta in the sense that there's a lot of different stuff that you can get into from technology standpoint. So Atlanta is one of those rare places that has really big companies and tiny companies living in harmony and growing. You're not stuck with only being able to work at NCR or Coca-Cola in a technology role. You can go work at a startup, and that startup can have investors that are people of color and founders that are people of color. Atlanta is the home of culture, though. And that matters. Culture is our biggest export. And we're just now being able to understand that and try to reap the benefits of it with large corporations and helping people around the world. Gary Vee said it a long time ago, but we didn't realize it, right? So it is kind of cool to live somewhere where phrases and things that bring people together are constantly created, because that energy rubs off on you as a creative and a technologist. It makes you want to tinker with things and be confident with like experimenting, right? Like you look at quality control records, right? Like perfect example of they're like quintessential Atlanta. They're the new LaFace in a sense, right? Quality control, they have the artists, but they got really good at putting those artists together with big brands, right? So Yachty would have a deal with Target or Migos, or whoever had like a McDonald's meal, right? There's a being able to like be unapologetically true to the customer, but also them investing in tech startups, right? So they have quality control ventures now. That mix of we can be like this and that and this and that, that is, I can't like articulate it in any more sophisticated way. This and that and this and that is what makes Atlanta a great place for technology. It's a melting pot. Oh, we got a question right here. Do I travel a lot? Right now, I travel a lot for two different reasons. I travel to Charlotte every month to visit Duke Energy. Our lab is there. We have an innovation lab there. And I try to show my face every month. And then I travel to play the game with people. So I play that card game and have game nights with people, which is why I'm in Detroit. Yeah, you want to see it? So this is the game and game cards. One of the users online was talking about the mystery card. It's the one where you can scan it and you don't know what's going to be on there every month. And then, yeah, you can actually pass it around if you want to see it. You want to see it? No?
You wanna pass it like this?
No, yeah. Listen, you stay honest.
Some other people wanna see it.
Anybody else want to see it? Y'all want to touch it? Who? We'll start right here.
I got a question for you.
It's the game. We've been
I
talking
got
about
one
the
last
game.
question for you.
Yeah,
I
sure.
thought my last question was my last.
Yes.
How much sleep do you get?
A lot. I'm not like I don't know. Y'all are. y'all are asking me like I'm some billionaire that doesn't sleep. I am not there yet. I'm trying to be somebody's mama, somebody's wife, okay? And be a millionaire.
And
I sleep well. I slept well last night.
Really?
I love my life.
Yeah,
I love this. Like this makes me happy.
right.
Yeah.
I love it. Like you seem just like you busy all the time. Though.
I
Like,
am,
just
but
seem
it's
like-
also like imagine being busy doing everything. Like you know how blessed that is to be able to every single thing that you do, you actually really like it.
So if you do have like free time still to like chill with your family,
I do.
that's cool.
Chilling out.
Do you
Watching-
practice any like mindfulness or like meditation and things like that? Like the things that you brought up to keep yourself just centered. And,
I'm a big person on like, you know, different music. They have all these different like vibrations that you can listen to on streaming services and on YouTube. I like affirmation songs. I like stuff like that. Yeah.
love the lifestyle.
So earlier you spoke about, you used to be in a space where you kind of always make sure everybody around you was okay.
Mm-hmm.
You had to navigate out of that. And like, I'm in that space right now where I understand but I'm still trying to start my own business. So how did you navigate those boundaries? I guess?
It almost killed me. It almost and I really mean that. What's your name? Jasmine. I was 300 pounds because I could not say no to other people, so I would not take care of myself. So it literally people pleasing almost killed me. And I wanted to live, and I wanted to start a bunch of businesses and see those businesses grow and be here to see them grow. So I had to pick myself. That's exactly what happened.
See what I'm saying?
Mm.
You're so modest. Like you left that out.
I mean, it's not, it's just part of my life. If you don't take care of yourself, it could be cancer, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be like obesity, right?
Right.
When you put so much into other people that you are not taking care of yourself, you're not going, your business is not going to grow. And the people who are draining you out, they won't be around to even be worried about what you're doing. Mm-hmm.
Self-reflection, you are going to, you're traveling like on a road,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is a narrow road, right? And so your friends are kind of going in opposite direction, which is a wider road. They're having fun. You look over there, they're partying, having fun, and they're having a good time. But you have to focus. You have to say, no, I can't come to the baby shower. I can't come to this and that because you have to work, right?
I did that by mistake, and that was a grave mistake, though.
I agree, but
Yeah.
we're starting up. You do have to dedicate.
Yeah, you have to
right?
get focused.
Yeah, but you live and you learn. So as you go along,
Yeah.
you learn how to balance those things.
Absolutely.
Everybody encourages you to start a business, but once you start it, then you don't have time for them, then they're mad at you, right?
Yeah.
So it gets tricky. So I get what you're saying. And I did that people pleasing too, almost killed myself as well. Did some damage to my health. And then I had to start cutting people off. I
Mm-hmm.
was telling them this morning, it's like you're connected to a string. You're trying to move or something that's over your back.
That's
over your
right.
back. Then I had to cut those strings. It was hard, but
Absolutely.
at some point we're going into different areas. I
Mhm.
still love you, but I gotta go.
Absolutely. And I would say that had I gone, so in my experience, it's the business relationships. Had I gone to the baby showers when I didn't go, because I didn't, right? Had I gone and spent more time with my family or my like friends and really made that time, I would have been able to create more boundaries in my business, because then the people who you're working with, they're not your family, they are your colleagues, right? So me saying no to the baby showers left me in a place where only people who I was connected to was we're working on the startup together. And giving them too much when these other people are going to be around forever. So yes, and that I had to flip that and understand the difference. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, I still got stuff to do today. So
See?
I love y'all.
Be busy.
But I'll be honest. Thank you for
I
having
love
me.
it though. I really enjoyed it. That was great.
This was fun. Can I video y'all like waving to my camera? Y'all cool with that? Yeah, I got. Oh, it's 15 minutes early. Okay, that's good. Okay, wait.